What is up, my friends? You are very welcome back after, well, we've beaten Fulham by 3-1, a result that puts us back up at the top, just behind Arsenal in goal difference. But Manchester City do, of course, have a game in hand. Interestingly, though, we'll play another game before Manchester City's next league game. So we've got to go to Goodison and make sure we get the result on Wednesday as well. I can't complain, though, today, my friends. I wanted a win. We got the win. And we can talk about what that means. We can talk about who deserves to be in the team on Wednesday. And of course, whatever else you want to go through over the next hour or so. I'm relieved but happy. You know, it wasn't vintage, but second half performance. We came out, we got the job done. Some very good goals today as well. Lots to be happy about. Cody Gakpo put in a great shift. Gravenberch put in a good shift. But we've got 5 games to go. So let's see what happens. Coventry were robbed, said Alex. Look, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Whatever happens, it is going to be an all-Manchester final. And Coventry did themselves proud. I didn't watch the game, so I've got no idea whether they were robbed, weren't robbed. I've seen the offside call. It looks tight, but ultimately, it is what it is. And it is the all-Manchester final. But you got to give credit to Coventry for the heart spirit they showed. The fight back to come back from 3 goals down as well. But we also had a nice little turnaround ourselves today. You know, conceding before half-time as we did, I was worried what that was going to bring in the second half. I was worried about the performance we were going to see. But the lads went out and they got the job done. Scored 2 unanswered goals in the second half. And yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Good to get back to winning ways. Gary said we're going to Wembley. Gary, see, here's the thing that gets me, Gary. I get it, you're going to Wembley and congratulations on that. But the thing, mate, is nobody ever spoke about a quad inside the Liverpool fan base. This is what gets me about opposition fans. None of us ever said we're going to win a quad. Never once. So I don't get why opposition fans think they get to laugh at us for being in a position where it's possible. You'd give your testicles, Gary, to be in a position where it was possible for United to win a quad. But you'll have to make do with the Europa League and the Europa Conference League next year, unless you win the FA Cup, in which case you'll find your way into the Europa League, which is probably your level, mate, because you embarrassed England in the Champions League this season. But that's okay, Gary. You enjoy yourself. You enjoy the tin pot manager you have and those absolute frauds out there playing for you. And if you want to obsess about Liverpool, you have at it, dude. You have at it. Imagine on a day where you've reached a final of an FA Cup coming in to a Liverpool channel to try and, what? Be happy, Gary. You won today, bro. You should be over the moon. 13-second goal again, said Harshir. I don't know what that means. Craig, front 3 versus Everton. For me, it has to be Gakpo, Jota, Salah. I don't think I did. Yeah. I don't mind Diaz either in there, mate, but I reckon Salah deserves another shot. Why not? But if he's not doing it in 45, mate, I've got to be honest about it. You don't get much more breathing space now. Any of those front 3, we have to be at it for these last 5 games. And look, Klopp put Salah back in. I've no issues with that, but he has to deliver. The only one I would say I really feel like doesn't deserve a starting place is Darwin at the minute. And I take no pleasure in saying that, but I'm going off what I've seen. But let me say this to you, Prana. Firstly, thank you, bro, for your super chat. I appreciate it. So, Gravenberch, McAllister and Endo. That's the midfield that I'd go with at Goodison on Wednesday. But I'm open to what other people suggest as well. What a loser jumping in, glory hunting, said Christoph. It's just weird behaviour, dude. You know, if Liverpool won today and got into a final of something, the last thing I'd be doing was popping into a United channel to discuss what Liverpool have achieved or what we haven't. I'd be just delighted, you know? And I am delighted. I'm delighted that we got our win today, but 5 more games to go, and who knows what the football gods have in store for us. What have we got? I'm really losing hope for Darwin. Sorry, said Harry. Also midfield for Everton, Ryan, Endo and Maka. Salah should still be on the bench for the Everton game. Diaz was great today, said Shark Bay. Again, I said I'd be no problem if Diaz does play either. I can understand any shouts. Diaz, Salah, no problem. But what I do want to see is Cody Gakpo on the left wing again, because I think he wanted to play there. It's his preferred position, and he played well. So I feel like we've got to be fair about these things, and I think Gravenberch done himself no harm either. United fans finally leaving their caves. Look, we all know they're going to get whooped in the final by Manchester City anyway, so it's irrelevant. But if they don't think it's embarrassing that they went life and death with Coventry and were rescued by a tight VAR call after being 3-0 up, there's not a lot I can say to help them. Walking the dog, listening to you. How's it going, mate? I'm good, thank you, Russell. I'm good. I'm delighted that we got back to winning ways, mate. Oh, 13 seconds was how long they lasted against Manchester City before going a goal down. Yeah, I get it now. Craig, did you see there was no offsides all game? Then Nunes came on and there was an offside after 30 seconds. Yes. No, actually, do you know what? I won't lie and say I knew there hadn't been an offside in the game up to that point. I didn't know about that. But I did know that as soon as he came on, first ball slipped through, he was offside. But here's the thing about that. Yes, Darwin was offside. No denying that. But it shouldn't have been played to him because I think it was Salah, and I can't remember. I'm open to be corrected if I was wrong. He could have seen he was offside and shouldn't have played the ball anyway. And that's happened a few times with Darwin. I've noticed players playing balls to him when he's in a clear offside position. But look, either way, much of a muchness. What do we think defensively today? I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you think the back four got on today. We need to keep pressure on City. Come on, Liverpool, from Arsenal fans. We both do, mate. We both do. And I've said this all season. If we lose the league title and you guys win it, I can take that. It'll be tough from a sporting perspective, but I respect Arsenal, so I could take it. I don't want those crowd in blue to win a fourth Premier League on the trot. So hopefully they slip up and one of us can capitalise. Obviously, you hope it's Arsenal, I hope it's Liverpool, but we do play again before Manchester City have their next league game, so at least we can put the points on the board and see if that puts a bit of pressure on them. What have we got? Gerard Phelan said, fabulous performance in my opinion. After all the pressure, poor form from players and poor attitude, this was, in my opinion, professional. Grafenberg played well, said Alex Macklin. I'm a bit late, can you catch me up? We haven't really said anything, mate, to catch up on. We've just kind of been chatting about performances, what we think should the midfield and attack should look like against Everton. Really, nothing really dramatic has happened so far. The defence was leaky again, said Sergu. It was, and that still concerns me. Now, I want to get your opinion on the goal, because somebody in the chat said it was down to Robertson. Maybe I missed something in the build-up to the opportunity, but if my memory is correct, Fulham had attacked down our right-hand side, their left-hand side. There was a cross put in. Andy Robertson nudged into the Fulham player on the 6-yard box. Then the ball went further over to the right. Robbo went across to try and block that cross. It was pulled back to Castagna on the edge of the box. Robbo went back to try and block him, and then it was scored. So unless I've missed something in the build-up, I don't understand what the problem with Robertson was there. But either way, we give too much time and space to people in our own 18-yard box, and that needs to change. What a wonderful goal by Trent. It was a beautiful free kick. Absolute stunning free kick from Trent. And Gravenberg's goal, and I said it during the watch-along, and I'll say it again, it's a great example of why you don't have to necessarily put the laces through the ball and bury it. Place it, caress it, and that's what he did. Picked out the corner beautifully. Nothing Leno could do about it. It was a great goal. And yeah, he should be very happy with himself. Craig, I know we say Endo has been a good signing, but I feel if we want to be like Man City and Arsenal, we need 100 million price. Well, I wouldn't say we need 100 million spent, but I do agree that we could do with adding in another central defensive midfielder. I'm not going to knock Endo because I thought he came back in the second half and put in a good shift. But I do get where you're coming from, and I would like us to go into the market in the summer and bring in another defensive midfielder. What we need to spend to do that, I don't know, but I get where you're coming from. Would I take Kimmich? In theory, I think I would, but I would say the likelihood of him coming to Liverpool is probably slim. But I do think Joshua Kimmich still has a lot to give, but I don't know. I have to say, I haven't really kept track of the defensive midfield goings on across Europe because, you know, we brought in Endo and we have Bajcetic, but it's only been in the last 2 or 3 weeks I've really started to think to myself, maybe we do need to be a little bit more ruthless there because I don't know what next season's going to bring for Stefan Bajcetic. I hope it brings an injury-free campaign for him, but I'm not against the idea of another defensive midfielder coming in if we can find the right one. Are you worried about Wednesday? Not particularly. I'm worried about Everton and them maybe trying to kick lumps out of some of our players, but they're not very good. And, you know, I believe we should go to Goodison and get a win, but, you know, they're not going to make it easy for us. They're going to put up a fight and we're going to have to be ready for that battle. Luis from Villa. Douglas Luis. He'd be about 100 million, but I think they're talking about Luis from Benfica, if I'm not mistaken. Which, again, I think he has a release clause of something like 120 in euro. Again, open to be corrected on that. Florentino Luis, I think, is the one the chat's on about, mate. Why isn't Stefan in the squad today? I think he's still building up match fitness. Played some time with the under-21s. And he's just trying to step up and be ready. I think you've got to almost just write this campaign off for Stefan and make sure he gets a good pre-season under his belt and is fresh to go next campaign. Craig, we've got 4 away games in a row, if I'm correct. Atalanta today and Everton and West Ham. Yes, you are correct. West Ham's the early kickoff next Saturday as well. We play them at 12:30. They were whooped by Palace today, so they're not in a great moment, West Ham. And I hope we can capitalise on that next weekend, but we can't look too far ahead because we do have to go to Goodison on Wednesday. Right, look, my friends, if I could ask you, if you are in with us and you haven't subscribed yet, to hit that subscribe button. We're eking closer to 257,000, and every one of you that hits the button really does make a difference, so thank you for that. The Ryan goal was a remake of Endo and the reverse fixture, both placed from the edge of the box. Good shout, Dennis. It was a lovely finish. I was really, really impressed with that. But I tell you what, we'll all have our own favourites today. But it's got to be Trent's free kick for me. It was... I love a free kick. I'm a sucker for a good free kick. And Trent is just so good. So good at them. So yeah, I was delighted with his goal today. I think all 3 goals have some good merits to them and some good reasons for optimism. But I have to say Trent was probably my pick of the bunch. When is the preview? I will record the preview and it'll be out tomorrow, buddy. Out tomorrow. So look, this is what's going to come up this week on the channel because we are going to do a few watch-alongs. So let me just get my notes open for a sec because I want to give you a heads up about what to expect over the next week on the channel. On Tuesday, what we're going to do is do a watch-along of Arsenal-Chelsea here on Anfield Agenda. So I'll be on Tuesday at 4 o'clock and then we'll have a news video. But we're going to do a watch-along from 7:30 on here of Arsenal versus Chelsea. On Wednesday, of course, we're going to be taking on Everton and we'll be doing our usual match day here. And then on Thursday, we're going to bring you guys a watch-along of Brighton against Manchester City right here on Anfield Agenda as well. Because I feel like I can justify them because they're our rivals right now for the title, Arsenal and City, and I feel like we can justify doing watch-alongs together of our title rivals in the business end of the season. So Tuesday we'll be doing the Arsenal game, Wednesday of course the Liverpool game, on Thursday we will be back with the Manchester City away game against Brighton, and all of them will be right here. I thought Gravenberch did well considering his second start since the cup final. Can definitely see a player in there, seeing as he's only 21, promising, said Ash LFC forever. I agree, mate, and he definitely has age on his side, and there is a player in there. There's a very good player in there. I hate how the title rivals all play on separate days. It's interesting. It's interesting, especially like let's say Arsenal beat Chelsea and we beat Everton. There's a lot of pressure then on Manchester City because they have 2 games to make up at that point, and then they play on Thursday against Brighton away. I hope Brighton put up a good fight. I hope they can do something, but all we can do at the minute is just take care of our own games, you know, and hope for... And it's horrible to say we need a favour, but we do need a favour at this point. Do you think Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Mack and Jones can benefit from a 4-4-2? No. I don't think we're going to see a 4-4-2 at any point, Jim. Especially not in the last 5 games with Jurgen. And if we're going to look at the managers that are coming in or have been linked to come in, again, you're looking at a 3 at the back for a good few of them. I'm not saying, by the way, sorry if I came across rude there, Jim. I didn't mean to shout down your suggestion, mate. It's just, I don't see us going to a 4-4-2 anytime soon. But whatever gets us wins, mate. Whatever we can grind out 5 wins to the end of the campaign. I don't mind what the formation is. I don't mind what the scorelines are. I just hope we can keep picking off those wins. Defence needs to wake up a bit, said Buffalo Soldier. Again, I agree. You know, it was great today to see the response in the second half, but it was still concerning that we conceded like the manner we did just before half time, where I thought we'd managed the game well enough up to that point. Did I see Beto's injury? I didn't, Mason. That was a serious one. I know, look, Everton player or not, I never want to hear of any player picking up an injury, so I hope he is okay. Alex said, I can't believe it, Craig. 5 more games with a great man. I know, mate. And that's what made me so angry about going out of the Europa. It's not only, of course, is it another trophy that we don't get a chance to win, but it's 3 more games potentially less with Jurgen as manager, which stings. Mark has sent me a message saying Jota's goal today was his 100th in English football, 44 for Wolves and 56 for Liverpool. And here's to many more, Mark. Here's to many more, mate. Any big manager update? No, not that I know of, Benjamin. No, nothing, mate. Look, I still expect it to be Amorim. I do, but I've not got anything new to say it's getting closer. Or I guess every week that goes by and every week Sporting get closer to the league title and every week we get closer to the end of Jurgen Klopp's tenure at the club, you know, I feel like we're also surely, by process of elimination, starting to get to the point where the next managerial appointment shouldn't be too far off. Really serious for poor Beto, even as a Liverpudlian. I don't know what happened, but as I said, I'd never wish injury or harm on any player. So, you know, whatever the injury is for him, I sincerely hope that he's back playing soon. In the Ruben era, do you think Dom and Harvey will be forwards? Number 10s, yes. I can definitely see an argument for Szoboszlai or Elliott to be played as a 10. Definitely. Forwards, not sure. But as a 10, yes. I guess 10s are kind of a forward in that system. So, look, I think that would suit them both better, if I'm being really honest with you. I think both of them would operate better with space between the lines, or at least being able to find space between the lines, which is, I think, an attribute of both of them that I really appreciate. I am concerned about the Szoboszlai situation, not because I doubt him. I don't doubt him for 1 minute. I just would love to know what's stopping the progression this season. Is it a lack of rhythm? Is it a positional thing? Is it the pace of the Premier League? Or is there something else? I don't know. But I have unbelievable belief in his ability, and I hope we start to see what we know Dominic Szoboszlai is capable of. Casper said, people need to remember Ryan was at the level of Jude and Tchouaméni before that Bayern move. So I'm not going to lie to you, mate. I didn't pay all that much attention to Gravenberch when he was at Ajax. Now, that Ajax team, of course, did incredibly well as they did under Erik ten Hag, and to go as far as they did in the Champions League. I didn't really pay much attention to him at Bayern either because I don't watch much of Bayern Munich. So when he came to Liverpool, I did have reservations about whether we were getting a player who would be able to do it or not. But I'm now absolutely assured that he can do it. You know, he started well, and I was a little bit peeved, mate, if I'm honest with you, that Jurgen wasn't giving him more of an opportunity recently. But he got his opportunity today, and he took his opportunity. And for that, he deserves credit. Jeff Blumberg said, hello, Mr. Anfield Agenda. Lovely way to say hello, mate. Thank you. Man of the match for you. I think it has to be. It has to be Gakpo. If you wanted it in order from me today, I'd go Gakpo, Trent, Gravenberch. In that order. Second half, I thought Endo was really good. Much better performance than in the first half. But yeah, I think Cody Gakpo deserves his man of the match today. You know, Trent's performance I thought was brilliant, and again, you can just see the caliber, the class that Trent has. Dom is still young, like 22, 23, but I get you. Exactly. Look, Footy Girl, I have every belief in Dom. And his caliber is undoubtable, in my opinion. And he will come good. I've no doubt we will see the Dominic Szoboszlai we believe that we can see. Might not see it this season, but, you know, I'm just concerned as to why we're not able to get the best out of him this campaign. Would you play Kwanzaa against Everton? Oh, it's a tough one because it could be physical. And I like Ibu's ability to deal with the physicality, but he can be a bit rash at times. I probably just about edge with Canade, but I have to be honest, I say that without much confidence. Probably would. I'd probably go back to Canade if I'm being honest for that game. David Fox said, Craig, worried about Wednesday? Not worried. Not worried as such. Just anxious, maybe. I just want to get to 3 points, mate. I'm not concerned at being Everton per se, but I'm just concerned that, you know, it's another game that we need to win. And if we can pick up the 3 points, happy days. Do you think Núñez has a future at Liverpool past Klopp? So I'm going to say yes, but not necessarily just for the reason that I think there's better to come from him. Because I think if you were to sell him, you'd lose a fortune. So I think you have to continue to back the kid at the minute, or at least let the new manager take a look at him and decide for themselves. Decide for themselves. I just don't know where to go with the Darwin stuff. You know, anybody who says that he's got 30 plus goals and assists, I get them. Anybody who says they're frustrated by him, I get them. It's just like a really complicated jigsaw puzzle to try and figure out. And you know that if you figured it out, my God, the payoff could be huge, because if he can put all those little things together, wow. But as of yet, it's still frustrating. Which legend would you try to sign up to help win the league? Oh, if I could put somebody into the team, it would be Gerrard in a heartbeat. Or Mascherano or Alonso at the base of the midfield. But probably Gerrard, yeah. I'd probably stick Gerrard in there. Thoughts on Darwin when he came on? I don't think he was very good at all, Alfie, mate. I don't think he was very good. You know, as has been pointed out in the chat, straight into running offside. Yeah, wasn't impressed when he came on. And I take no pleasure in saying that. I don't like, you know, speaking negatively about our players, but I can only say what I see. How long until Klopp's book comes out? A must read, said Carl. I'll tell you what, buddy, I would pay good money to really hear what went on behind the scenes, if there is anything between him and the owners. And also between him and Buvac as well. You know, that's something that I guess he's every right for that to be kept private. You know, it's between the two of them. But I think this documentary is going to make for interesting watching when it comes out. He's still very, very raw. He is, Chris. Yes, he is. Something that annoys me is that little smirk on his face. Look, I get it. I get wound up by people with silly smirks on their face as well. In certain situations where I'm angry and they're smirking. Mane did it at times as well. Salah occasionally does it. The gaffer does it. And I guess it's a coping mechanism for some players. But for me, it just winds me up. Neville is like an old decaying teabag. So I want to get your thoughts on something, because during the time I finished the content, took a little break and came back to you guys, I started reading stuff and I went onto the Sky Sports News app, or Sky Sports app, sorry. And Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville are saying that Mark Clattenburg needs to stand down from his position with Nottingham Forest as their refereeing consultant, and also that Nottingham Forest should be hit with a massive fine or punishment from the Premier League for the statement. Now, I guess it needs to be addressed in two ways. Firstly, the statement itself. Is it right to put that statement out the way they did? No, it isn't. I have to agree with Neville and Carragher on that one. It isn't. It isn't right that they put it out. But I have to also say, do I understand the frustration? Yes, I do. And I get what Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher are saying, that nobody can say that, call into question people's morals or the integrity of officials. But I think what we are entitled to call out is the ineptitude of the officials. And whilst Gary might say clubs can't be calling people out or saying that they're going to explore all options or anything like that, and I understand where Gary Neville's coming from, but what else can they do? Because sometimes it feels like we're banging our head against a brick wall, and that no matter what a manager says, a player says, or the club says behind the scenes, the ineptitude of these PGMOL officials is just not good enough. And it seems like there is no way of resolving that. It feels like we all just have to grind our teeth and accept it, and accept mistake after mistake and poor performance after poor performance. And sometimes it just leaves people angry. And I get the Forest are angry, and we deserve better. As football fans, we deserve better, and something should be done. I don't know if you're looking at this from an integrity perspective, if you're looking at it from just a decision-making perspective, but it's gone beyond a joke this season. This is the worst campaign I can ever remember for incorrect decisions. And what makes it even more galling for everybody is that this is the time in the game where they've got more options to make the right decision than ever before. More camera angles, more communication, more tools to make the right decisions than ever before. And I don't care what Howard Webb rolls out on Mic'd Up and says. I don't care what stats they bring out to say that more correct decisions are being made. I call bullshit, because we're not seeing that. We're seeing referees spoofing it, and we're seeing some very, very, very questionable decisions. And we're also seeing referees jetting off over to another part of the world, a part of the world where some of the clubs in the Premier League are owned by these states, to referee matches on handy little side jobs. And that's not a good look. That doesn't scream integrity. That doesn't stop the quest for answers. So yes, I agree in theory with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. It's not good for Forest to come out and say that, but somebody at some point is going to have to do something, because it's crap, the officiating. It's terrible for some of us. The bad refereeing in the Prem has produced teams that have embarrassed English football in European competitions, said Coach Bill. It's inexcusable. Like, I've seen a still image of, was it Ashley Young's handball that Forest weren't given. I've seen a still image of that, so I do have to say I haven't seen the video image. And it looks nailed on. The arm's out like this, ball hits the arm. From that, it looks like that's a penalty. But then again, I'll never understand why Martin Odegaard's wasn't a penalty. And I'll never understand how the VAR official was able to say that McAllister and Doku both went in high for the ball. What gets to us is we're being told by Howard Webb and the PGMOL or Dermot Gallagher or whoever else that what we're seeing with our own eyes isn't what we're seeing. And that is madness. That is lunacy. To tell us that we don't know what we're looking at when we can see clearly with our own two eyes what's happening, and then try to stand behind the decision and justify it as the right one. It's disgusting. There's no other word I can use for it. And to have people like Michael Owen on Mic'd Up representing the football public and not pushing back when having a laugh and joke with Howard Webb, for me, they're all part of the problem. Sky are part of the problem by having Dermot Gallagher and Mike Dean on Ref Watch and on Soccer Saturday. You've made celebrities out of these idiots. You have rewarded Mike Dean, who admitted publicly that he didn't do his job and that he didn't send his mate to a monitor because he didn't want him to be getting grief. And what do? Do you call him out for the integrity of the game that you profess to love, that you sell all around the world? No, you hire him. You give him a cushy little job, and we have to listen to him. When he hasn't got an ounce of integrity, which he's proven. I'm sorry, I'm ditching my Sky bill on Monday. It's gone. Between that and the shoddy signal today, they're done. I can't do it anymore. I can't be lectured to about sexism, Islamophobia, racism, homophobia, and all this other stuff that are great causes that need to be spoken about, whilst at the same time having these hypocrites who are trying to preach morals to us, not practicing what they preach. And I've had enough of that. I'm not what I would consider a woke person or an anti-woke person, but I know bullshit when I smell it, and I know nonsense when I see it, and Sky are spoofers. Absolute spoofers. Chelsea should have had a penalty against City for the handball. An identical one was given against United. Makes no sense. And look, that whole situation with Emma Hayes as well really wound me up. That she gets to go out there and talk about male aggression when she's laying hands on the Arsenal team coach. And nobody has the balls to call her out for it. Because what? Because she's a lady? If you want equality, then you get equality of thought, equality of action. And if any male put hands on another male coach, they'd be banned. And if any male put hands on a lady coach, they'd be banned. And rightly so. But she gets to talk about male aggression while she's the one doing the aggression. I'm sorry, but that is nonsense. And again, we're expected to just take this and go, oh, okay. It's double standards. It's double standards. Mike Dean should have been investigated. Players get lengthy bans for betting, but Mike Dean in the VAR room affected the game on purpose. Yes, and admitted it. Admitted that he didn't send his mate over. Don't rate the pundits on Sky. Look, some of them are good. Some pundits are good. And as I said, Emma Hayes is a brilliant coach. I've loads of time for listening to Emma Hayes talk about football. She knows the game inside out. And her analysis is always great. But that whole situation was an embarrassment. She got away with murder there. And we're all just supposed to go, oh, okay then. Do you know what I mean? It just stinks, lads. It stinks. Where can I watch the Melissa Reddy situation? I don't know what that Melissa Reddy situation is, George. I've no idea. I don't know anything. I would say Melissa Reddy's a great journalist, by the way. I don't know what this situation is, but look, I would never undermine very, very worthy causes. Nobody wants hate in the game. Nobody wants racism. Nobody wants homophobia. Nobody wants Islamophobia. Nobody wants any of that in society. That's a given. We don't want that. Anybody. But I also don't want to be lectured to when you haven't got the backbone to do it when the shoe's on the other foot. And that's my point here. Is if we want real equality, it has to be across the board. And we can't make excuses for one gender or one race or one sexual orientation to abuse another. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. If you want to call shit out, then we call it out. But we call it out together and are consistent with it. That's my point. That's the point I'm trying to make. And there are people who are far more intelligent and articulate than me that will make this point in a far better way. But I just don't like being lectured to by people that aren't fit to tie our shoes. I just don't. Hi Craig. Robbo and Trent could just be back and sharp at the right time along with Jota, who will only get better. Grav and Cody are also fresh enough, and amazingly Diaz is still lively. Freshness so important right now. Yes, I agree. And there's only 5 games to go, so I don't think fatigue should be an issue at this point. There's only one player in that team, actually, that I think may have a shout for fatigue, and that's actually Virgil. I think Virgil's played a lot of football this season, and we haven't really had much of a chance to rotate Virgil, give him a rest. So, yeah, I actually am... for all the talk I've said about Verge not being captain material and stuff, I have to say his fitness this season's been remarkable. And for him to still be able to play that amount of games and do what he's doing is remarkable. Picking on Verge. Did you not just hear me talking about Verge being great there, Roman? Or are we just ignoring that? Did you see Trent standing there when they scored? And again, I don't think I picked on Virgil for the goal at all. All I said about the goal was that Robertson was chasing down 3 different situations. That's all I said about the goal. You see illegal challenges, i.e. stonewall penalties, referees doesn't, and you hear Sky commentators apologetically saying, yeah, he goes down easily there, good call, but you can see where they were impeded. It's nonsense. You see a lot of these calls and they're stonewallers, blatant free kicks or penalties. Do you know what gets me, what winds me up a lot lately, and I don't know if I'm on my own here. This is one of the hypocrisies of football, but this isn't new to this season. You know when you get a free kick on the edge of the box like we did today, the one we scored from, and you see Fulham players talking about an inch here or an inch there and move the ball's being moved slightly this way or that way, and then you see a free kick inside, let's say for offside, inside a team's own half of the pitch, and it can be 15, 20 yards away from where the obstruction of the offside actually was, and there's no problem with that. These tiny little weird hypocrisies of football do my bicky in. And I don't understand logically how when you get to the 18-yard box, every millimetre counts. And when you're in your own half of the pitch or in the middle of the park, you can have 10 or 15 yards. Same with a throw-in. I don't get the throw-in stuff either. I don't understand why throw-ins you're okay to rob 15 yards on. These things drive me bonkers. Do you think we will still win the Prem? No, because we need a favour. And until we get the favour, all we can do is hope. But I can't sit here and say I've confidence we'll go to win the league, because even if we win our remaining games, it's not in our own hands at this minute in time. So I'm hopeful. I'd love us to finish with 5-6 wins in a row. That would be great. But I hope that the football gods have a little twist in store for us. I'm surprised Michael Oliver is still getting City games. 4 games that he's refed are being in VAR, and all decisions have gone City's way. So somebody said to me, Ash, I think it was Lukester, who's a Chelsea fan and is in our Discord group, before anything happened in that City semi-final yesterday, he said to me, we're getting nothing today off Oliver. And how right was he? I honestly think we will win it if we win all of our 5 games. I hope we do, Vladdy, mate. I hope we do. It would be amazing. How sweet would it be to win a league title with a little twist at the end, rather than the heartbreak that we've suffered in other campaigns, losing out to City by a point. Like, I don't know about you guys, but it still riles me that we put up, 97 points and didn't win a league, or 96 points and didn't win a league. That still blows my mind. Craig, why don't refs enforce the 3-step rule for goalies anymore? Because it's not in the laws of the game. They're given a time now instead, Dave. So yeah, it's not in the laws of the game. I've been seeing that we're linked with Mendy from Real Madrid. Yes, there was an article or two today to say that Liverpool are interested in Ferland Mendy. I think I have the notes here, mate. 1 second. Where was it? There we go. So yeah, Anfield Sector posted, and they quote L'Equipe via Madrid Extra, and the post is, Liverpool are among a number of Premier League clubs that have inquired about the situation of Real Madrid defender Ferland Mendy. My honest opinion on that is that it stinks of Madrid trying to drum up interest in a player they may be interested in selling, because I'm not going to profess to watch Real Madrid week in and week out, but when I have watched him play for Real Madrid, I've never been impressed. So he's not somebody that I would want Liverpool to go out and sign personally, but yeah, it just stinks to me of them trying to drum up interest in a player. Imagine if we win the league on the last day. Oh, it'd be amazing, Nessie. Imagine if Spurs could do it. If Spurs could beat City. Look, I feel Arsenal will drop points over these last games. No disrespect to them. I just feel like it's the way the fixtures are. They're difficult enough. So I think I've always believed that they could drop some points. I still just can't quite get over last weekend for us, though. You know, that loss against Palace just... that could be the one, you know, but... Beautiful day for Liverpool, but who do I want to win the FA Cup, City or United? I don't know, man. I can't answer you because there is no answer that makes me feel better, you know? Yeah. There is no answer there for me as a Liverpool fan that makes me feel better about that situation. Alphonso Davies to Real Madrid. Likely Mendy leaves. Yeah, I agree with that, George, as well. I think he's nailed on to go there. I thought the Brighton away for City was going to be a tough game for them. Well, they've got them coming up on Thursday, and we will be doing a watch-along over here on the channel. I want City to win it because nobody would care, said King Pop. Yeah, look, I guess you can make a valid argument either way. I want City to win it so nobody cares, or I want United to win it to stop City maybe winning a double. It still doesn't make me feel any better about life, if I'm being honest with you, about those two finalists. Any news on our new manager? Not that I know of, Nessie. Nothing new that I'm aware of. You know, but we are getting to, you know, the last 3-4 weeks of the season here, so I would hope we get some news soon. United to the conference, so City to win the FA Cup. Oh yeah, there is that, mate. Who's that? Agalisis. I would love Manchester United in the Europa Conference League. I'm still angry about West Ham for the season before last day of the season. All West Ham had to do was win, and United were in the Conference League, and West Ham lost, and they ended up in it. Now, they went and won it, so I guess West Ham fans would argue it worked out well for them. But yeah, I'd love to see them in the Conference League, because imagine they didn't win it. Oh, the banter, lads. It's bad enough we didn't win the Europa League, by the way, and that doesn't sit well with me, but if you're in the Conference League and you didn't win it as a so-called top club, that would be... Unless you just treat it with disdain from day one and just play the kids. Klopp leaving still hasn't hit me, says Robert. I don't know if I've truly processed it either, Robert. I've kind of just been living in denial. And just, even though we're talking about new managers or likelihood of who's coming in, I still think I'm kind of blocking out the whole Klopp stuff. Did I see West Ham got hammered today? Yeah, it was a 4-1 by Palace or something like that. Jeff said, if Liverpool couldn't win the Premier League, who would you like to win at Arsenal or City? 100% Arsenal, Jeff. 100%. Look, I look at this in this way, Jeff. Sportingly, it was 5-2, was it? Sorry. Sportingly, I can accept losing to Arsenal. I can accept being beaten by another team in a title race when I've got respect for the way that they go about their business as a club. So it would be tough to take like it would losing any league title. But I could look at Arsenal and think, respect, fair play, you know, shake an Arsenal fan's hand and say, best of luck to you, fair play to you. I couldn't do that with City because I despise everything about them. I despise how they are where they are. I despise the lies. I despise it all. I just don't like them. I've no respect for them. So 100% Arsenal for me. Now people are going to say, but Arsenal fans would be unbearable on social media. And I get that. But that's what we're supposed to be as football fans. You know, that's fandom. Give me gloating from a rival fan over me having to look at a grubby league title being won by somebody. Do you think there's any possibility of Salah going anywhere not in Saudi? So I can't say, Evie, that I've seen anything, but I guess the only thing I could really say would be PSG. You know, if you look at it, that Mbappe is leaving PSG, and you look at the friendship between, is it Al Khalifa? Is that the gentleman's name? That the president of PSG and Salah. You know, that's the only thing I can think of. I've not heard of any interest from other European clubs, but doesn't mean maybe there isn't some there. So yeah, that's the honest answer. I would expect it to be Saudi, but I could also understand if Salah felt like he wanted to play in Europe for a bit longer, because, you know, going to Saudi is admitting that you're in the retirement phase of your career at that point. Do you think there's a possibility Mourinho comes to us? No, I don't. I'd love to. I'd have no doubt Mourinho would love to come to us, but there's no way Liverpool are going to employ somebody they've already turned down when in 2004, and somebody who went on then to manage Manchester United. I just don't see it happening. So no for me. Do you think David Moyes will get sacked? Yes, I do. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just answering the question, and I do think he will, yes. But he's had a contract though, right? So do they even have to sack him? Am I right? Is his contract up at the end of the campaign? I don't think he'll be the West Ham manager next year, is what I'm trying to say. Mourinho turned down Liverpool in 2004. No, other way round. In 2004, it came down to Rafael Benitez and Jose Mourinho to become the next Liverpool manager. And the club, and there are various thought processes behind why they made the decision, but the club felt that Rafael Benitez was a better fit for the club and chose to go Rafael Benitez. So yes, Liverpool had the opportunity to get Mourinho, but went to Rafael Benitez. I guess the rest, as they say, is history. Would anything stop me supporting Liverpool? It's a good question, Carl, and two things have come close. The Super League came close. Like if Liverpool have continued to sign on and go to that Super League and throw away our history with the European Cup, I would have had a decision to make. And the other one was state ownership. You know, there was links to Qatar coming to buy us at one point. Some people were happy. I was disgusted by the idea. Not because of anything against the good people of Qatar or any other country. It's just that I don't want state ownership of a football club. I think it's unfair. Because a business has to make a profit. A business has to survive on its own merits. If you've got the whole GDP of a country behind you, or a sovereign wealth, you can afford to be, you know, make more mistakes or lose money for a while. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't think, if there's no jeopardy in it, it's just, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the Premier League let it happen. I don't like that it's happened with City. I don't like it's happened with Newcastle. I don't like it. Why do you think Michael Edwards came back to Liverpool? He didn't necessarily come back to Liverpool. He came back to oversee the whole of FSG's footballing operations. Some of it was to do with bringing in another club and to go and buying a second club for FSG. Some of it, again, was because it's a step up from his last job. You know, he's not sporting director now. He's CEO of football for FSG. And I don't know this for a fact. I'm just giving you an opinion. I think Jurgen leaving probably was another reason that he was willing to come back. I'm not saying they hated each other or anything like that, because I don't know. But I do feel like, and I can understand how there could maybe have been a bit of a respectful power struggle at times there. Would state ownership benefit us in the long term? I just think it'll destroy football in the long term, mate. You know, it's when your football club is being used as, I don't want to use the word propaganda. When your football club is being used as an advertisement for a country to propel that country's profile around the world, or maybe gloss over that country's bad points, shall we say, I don't think that doesn't sit well. I don't like sports washing. I don't like the idea of trying to cleanse your reputation through sport. Sport should be above all that. Sport is beautiful for the right reasons. And I don't like it being corrupted by greed or socio-economic or socio-political reasons. It just doesn't sit well. Would you keep Klopp for a few more years or get a fresh manager? It's a tough call, mate, because obviously we know what's happening, but I've been asking myself for the last week or two, if Jurgen didn't announce he was leaving, how would I feel right now? Because last year, I was in no way ever thinking of, getting to the Jurgen time to go. No, I said he'd earned the right to have a bad season, and it was what it was. But if this season unfolded the way it has, with the players not responding in the way that they had, I don't know, man. I'd certainly be closer to feeling maybe it's time for a change. But I don't know if I could ever bring myself to say the words, time to get rid of Jurgen Klopp. I don't know if I could ever say that. But it would be a lot harder this year than it was last year, put it that way. Last year I was like, no. We had a bad season, that's not up for debate, but Klopp's earned the right to put this right. So, but the way this season's kind of stumbled along over the past month, it's fair to ask what's gone wrong. Here's a poll for you in the chat. Next season, would you rather see Liverpool win the Premier League or the Champions League? We do that poll all the time, mate, and it's Premier League most people vote for. I can tell you the answer to it. Some of us think European Cup, but most people want us to get that league title that would, push us to the top. For me, I always start the season wanting the European Cup. I think that's the best trophy for me in world football. So I always start a campaign wanting in that order: Champions League, Premier League. Weirdly, I prefer the League Cup over the FA Cup. So League Cup, FA Cup, that would be my preference. Mr. Anfield Agenda. I do love you, Jeff. Can I say that, Jeff? I do love you, mate. I love that you say Mr. Anfield Agenda. It makes me feel nice and proper. Do you think Liverpool can win the Champions League next season without Klopp? Yes. I don't think it's likely, but we have pedigree, and we have the calibre of players, and we have Anfield. But I'm kind of, the more we get closer to the new Champions League format, I'm kind of getting excited by the idea of 8 different teams in the group stage. I'm intrigued, and I'm glad we're in it, by the way. I'm glad that we're going to be in the first, new format of the Champions League. I think, we're not going to be in the Club World Cup, the new revamped Club World Cup that's coming up, but I'm glad we're going to be in the new Champions League. And, 8 match days means a couple of things. It means, one more match day for people to get a chance to go to Anfield and see Liverpool under the lights in the Champions League. 8 different opponents is going to be really interesting to see what it's like, because for those of you who aren't aware, next season you're going to play 8 group stage games, 4 home, 4 away, but against 8 different opponents rather than the old group stage where you played the same opponents home and away. We're not going to do that in the new Champions League format, so I'm intrigued. Gaming Dog, appreciate you dropping in, mate, and totally understand you got to rest for college tomorrow. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us, bro. Do you think scrapping replays from the FA Cup is a good thing? For me, yes, but I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm not a League One fan or a Championship fan, so I totally understand the loss in revenue that they believe could be coming their way. And I can totally sympathise, and I can totally understand how they feel that it's a first world problem for Premier League clubs and the FA, and that they're not being consulted or properly, fairly treated. I totally understand and respect where they're coming from. I do. I truly do. But I would just say that somebody has to do something about the fixture congestion, whichever way we want to look at it. modern day footballers are being asked to do too much when they're representing their countries, they're playing in Europe, and they're playing Premier League games. And we expect the highest levels. We expect the best physicality. Somebody has to do something to look after the players. So it's a very difficult situation. I understand their point about not enough consultation, perhaps, but I hope that they can figure out something where there is a financial recompense for the clubs. I think the FA are saying there's going to be more televised games in the earlier rounds of the the FA Cup. And I think they're trying to find a way to make sure more money does go down to the clubs below the Premier League. And the pyramid has to be protected, of course. You want football and those clubs to be there and healthy for decades to come. But I'm not clever enough to figure out the best way to go about these things. So when I look at it through a selfish Liverpool fan's eyes. And my selfish Liverpool fan's eyes just is happy that there's no more replays, because it's another match day that we might not necessarily have to put the players through. Should they get rid of the Nations League? No need for that tournament, in my opinion. Weirdly, I think what they've done with the Nations League is better than the old friendlies thing. But what I don't like is the early... there's two international breaks that really bug me. March and... is it August or September? The first one and the March one. One comes when the season's barely getting started, and the other comes at the business end of the season, where managers should not be having to let go of their star players who go and play, most of the time, fairly pointless games at that point of the season. It drives me demented, and I'm sure it drives managers demented as well. But I actually don't mind the Nations League in itself. I think it's made it better than these nonsensical friendlies that nobody cares about. But again, there's a battle going on between UEFA and FIFA at the minute. Because I don't know how much you guys know about this, but UEFA's revenue dwarfs that of FIFA. UEFA have the prized asset in world football, which is the Champions League. And UEFA get the Euros, the Champions League, the Europa League, the Conference League, the Super Cups, and they can make a lot of money. And FIFA and Gianni Infantino, they want some of that money, which is why you're seeing the Club World Cup and increased teams and more of these type of tournaments popping up. And it's all feckin' greed, the lot of it. It's all greed, and I hate a lot of them. And I can't disguise it. They're all as bad as each other, and none of them seem to be looking out for anything other than the best interests of, financially, of their own self-interests. And I don't think anybody's putting football first, putting the fans first, putting the clubs first, the players and the coaches. And I feel like we're going to get to a point where players are going to have something in the contract that means they can only play a certain amount of games in a year. And whether that has to be split up by the club or the countries or a mixture of both, somebody is going to have to put something in the contract that protects the players. So let's say a player says maximum he can play is 50 games in a year, 50 games in a season, and X amount of them could be for the international and X amount for the club. But something has to be done. It's ridiculous. The Spanish League has its own TV rights, La Liga TV. Would it be wise for the Premier League to follow that route? I think it was Simon Jordan who advocated to that matter. I don't agree with Simon Jordan on a lot of things, but I very, very much agree with Simon Jordan on this. La Liga TV has been hit and miss. You know, I was at the launch of La Liga TV in London when Javier Tebas spoke, and Gus Poyet was there, Pochettino was there. It was a good night, actually. And it was a great product. And La Liga have brought some really innovative stuff with Microsoft into match days. But the Premier League is the most watched league in the world. And it doesn't sit well with any of us that we don't get to watch every Liverpool game, or every United game, or every Arsenal game, or Chelsea game, or whoever it is you support. It doesn't sit well with me that we can't watch all those games. So for me, the idea of a streaming service like WWE have, or a Netflix style service where you can watch every Premier League game every week, you can see behind the scenes content, Premier League made content with players and managers and all this other stuff, as well as of course linking it all into merchandise and jerseys and fantasy football, loads of other stuff. It will be amazing. and I think would make the Premier League even more money. But the argument pushed back is Sky, particularly Sky, I would say, because they've been there from the start of the Premier League, that it would push them out of the market and it would cause a lot of problems to the likes of Sky and BT. But I have to say, I've no sympathy for them anymore. These companies are just greedy showers of... They just... I've no respect for them. And you heard me at the start of the stream talking about being lectured by them and all. I tune into Sky Sports to watch sport. Not to be lectured on morality. Not to be told what's right and wrong. My parents taught me what's right and wrong. I want to watch sport. So, yeah, I'd love a streaming service. But here's a question for you. What would you pay for that streaming service? Like, let's say the Premier League were conducting a survey amongst all football fans today, and they said, if we brought in this app or service where you could watch every Premier League game, you could watch all the goals from previous games, all the older matches, everything since the Premier League has come into existence, what would you be willing to pay for that each month? Speaking for myself, I easily pay 30, 40 quid a month for that. Easily, without blinking. Yeah, I would pay for it, no problem. Because I wouldn't have to be told that I'm getting more netball or horse racing or cricket or some other crap that I don't care about on Sky that they have to justify why they're upping the price every year. So yeah, I'd happily pay 30 or 40, and that's euro, by the way. So I guess in pounds, 25 to 30 pound, there or thereabouts. Some people are saying a tenner a month. I think it would have to be higher than that, to be honest with you. 50 is what Danny Plays Football said. £30 a month said NCE87. I think a lot of us would probably feel comfortable in the 30, 40 quid a month range, because it would mean we don't have to have all these other platforms. It would mean we don't have to pay for, I don't know, Amazon Prime for it, or the Zone in some countries, I guess. Just having one source for it be handy. In the 80s, it was 2 legs in the league all the way to the final. FA Cup replays and 20 clubs in the league. Only one sub in those days as well. That's tough football. It is, Nick, but players weren't at that same fitness levels then. Players weren't... the standard of football wasn't as good, mate, back then. It was great for the times, and the best were still the best, and I'm sure they would have been the best in another era, but these days, with the metrics of what players have been expected to do physically, how they're expected, they don't even get breaks, really, between seasons anymore. You know, look at this season coming up. If you're, let's say, in the FA Cup final, which United and City are, so if you're in the FA Cup final, and then you go into the Euros with your country, and then you finish the Euros, there's no break, really, again. Some of these lads are playing 3-4 years in a row with minuscule time out. Whereas if you look at the NFL, I'm not sure the exact time frame, but it's like 6 months on, 6 months off, something like that. And in that 6 months, what you also get to do is recover. Because a lot of footballers, and you hear this all the time, say, I'm always playing with a niggling injury. I'm always playing at 70 or 80%. Because they don't get the chance to recuperate properly. So I think there's something to be said about that as well. The more football that's played, the weaker the product becomes, the more fatigue. Look at the Champions League final between Manchester City and Inter Milan. We know that Manchester City and Inter Milan are two good teams, but that was a horrendous spectacle. Everybody looked knackered, fatigued. It looked terrible. That's supposed to be the pinnacle. That's supposed to be the showpiece event of European football. And it wasn't. It was a shadow of what it could have been because everyone was so tired. Do you remember 2 points for win and 1 point for a draw? Just about, Carl. Yes, just about, mate. I remember back pass has been okay as well to the keeper. Andy said, I pay €40 a month for Sling in the US just so I can watch the USA network. 40 would be amazing to get every match. Yeah, that's what I was saying, mate. To me, 30, 40 quid, I'd have no problem with paying to be able to watch every Premier League game. What else we got? Rachel, good night, mate. Good night. Oh, Barca have gone 2-1 up, by the way, according to people in the chat. So well done to Barca on that one. I pay around £15 here in India for all live cricket and Premier League football, said Nessie. Nice. Oh, I've seen Nessie. I have to admit, mate, I've been a little bit ignorant of the IPL, but I've started to see little bits and pieces and clips of it. And my God, the fans are awesome. I didn't realise that cricket. Oh, well, I knew cricket was big in India, but that IPL, man, that creates some atmosphere. It was. I seen a few bits and pieces the other day on the TV, and it looked like it was rocking. The energy the old players had was amazing. All those pint pots they picked up. And the Monday clubs. Don't forget the Monday clubs, mate. What boxer matches am I most looking forward to? Oh, look, Fury Usyk, obviously. It's going to be amazing. What other events have been made? I think the 5 versus 5 card, Bivol on the Bivol Beterbiev undercard between Matchroom and Queensbury. There's some really good fights on that as well. That's going to be a great card. Really interested to see Katie Taylor fighting against Amanda Serrano. I don't like that it's on the undercard of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, but I do like the fight. And the first one was brilliant, and I can't wait for that one. What other fights are we seeing coming up soon? Taylor Catterall. I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out. I'm sure there's probably 1 or 2 more cards that I can't remember at the moment. Did I watch the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight? I didn't watch it, but I did read about it on Sky Sports this morning. Ryan Garcia dropped him 3 times and won a majority card. I think one judge had it level, I think, if I'm not mistaken. The other 2 had it to Garcia, but yeah, I mean, is he going to be questioning his weight? You know, that £3 over cost him being able to leave with the belts. Fubo TV in Canada is $20 a month. Get all the Premier League games. Oh, I know, Ty. I used to use a Canadian DAZN account before they switched over to Fubo. And now we use a Spanish DAZN account. But I used to pull the trick where we did the Canadian one when it was DAZN. But I haven't tried Fubo. But we do use a Spanish DAZN account. That's what I used today for the game when Sky wasn't working. One judge had it 112 would fit right in the PGMOL. Yeah, look, boxing, and somebody else said one of the undercards there was a robbery on that as well. One of the Irish guys. Look, boxing is a joke for the judging at times, and it needs to be looked into. Oh, 2-2 in El Clasico. Interesting. Right, my friends, I'm going to go grab a shower and spend some time with the missus before she goes to her training again tomorrow. So I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. We will put the preview out at about 5 or 6 o'clock for the Everton game, and then we'll be live tomorrow at 8:30 for Late Night Agenda as always. Thank you again to our sponsors, Manscaped. Don't forget you guys can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com by using our discount code Anfield20. 20% off and free shipping. Again, appreciate you guys, and I will chat to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.